Do you ever feel like you're looking for a fight with no idea why?
Or ever felt so restless that just lashing out at something or someone just felt like a great release?
Today, we're talking about why some of us with ADHD pick fights, create drama, get weirdly angry out of nowhere, or sometimes use anger as a way to actually get things done.
If this resonates, you're in great company, and this episode is for you because there is a real reason behind why this happens.
This is Angry on the Inside. I'm Jess.
And I'm Jeannine. We're both certified ADHD life coaches, but this isn't coaching.
It's not therapy or medical advice either.
It's just real, honest conversations about being women with late diagnosed ADHD and everything that goes along with it.
Take what resonates and leave the rest. Today, we're talking about something I hate admitting out loud, but I also know I am not the only one.
That is so true, which is why we're talking about it. We've gotten messages from listeners saying, why do I start arguments when nothing is wrong? Or why do I feel like I need chaos to function? You want to go first or should I?
I'm always down for going first. I thought you knew that. I will say things that I can remember coming out of my mouth that are not quite like me, but when I would be at a point where the point of no return, the non-turnaround point, I can remember having a conversation and somebody saying something kind of smart ass and me turning around and just being like, I didn't realize you were looking for a fight. They weren't looking for a fight, but what they said came across to me in a way that was either aggressive or actionary. And that happens to a lot of us. We sometimes hear things through a different lens. We don't just see things through a different lens. We can hear things through a different lens. You're waiting for that big boom kind of moment. That's the kind of shit that can come out of your mouth.
No, I feel you on that one. When I think about my ability to pick fights, because there's a lot painful to admit, but we got to be honest. Um, I can remember when I was married of having been home all day. And it was just one of those days that just woke up, felt like off the entire day. A point where you're just like restless. You're so restless. You're just kind of frustrated. It's like you don't feel comfortable in your own skin and, didn't get better, wasn't getting anything done. Husband comes home and he can kind of tell I'm grumpy. We have dinner. I go upstairs, come back downstairs. He'd had a beer or something. I can't remember what it was, but the glass wasn't in the dishwasher. This was a thing for him, but I really gotten to a point where, okay, I can live with it. It's fine. But for some reason, that day could not. 0 to 60 took his head off. And I remember the look on his face like, you'd gone upstairs, you seemed calm. And then suddenly you're down here in my face like,
You're at DEFCON 6 and he's just,
what?
watching the game.
Oh, like everything was fine. Yeah. Didn't even then come walk in the room and suddenly it's almost like out of body. Like I am floating above listening to myself, this anger just like spewing out of me. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? Stop talking. Just stop talking. But I can't. Um,
Right. I can see the out of body experience of that. I can see that perspective.
and then I felt so good for like, there was probably a split minute where I was like, suddenly I like felt like I fit my body again. And that annoying feelings were all gone, which was then quickly followed like, oh shit, what have I just done? I think I went upstairs and cried, felt horrible. And, um, but it's sad how many times I can remember before I was diagnosed, how often that happened and being so confused by it, especially like when it was something like I was kind of okay with. Yeah, it was annoying, but hey, partners always have something annoying, but for some reason at that moment, couldn't handle it. But how I felt better afterwards was really weird. Like it was suddenly like my brain was awake and alert and things were right with the world again, but then they really weren't. So
Yeah, because it's very much a release of you get that dopamine bump, the adrenaline starts flowing, and it's awesome. It is awesome, but it is so fleeting. I remember a few years ago, my daughter had had a disagreement with a friend and ended up saying things that she normally would not say, um, that were aggressive. She came home and she told me about it, and she was like, did I do the wrong thing? And I'm like, for the situation, no, I don't think you did the wrong thing. But I will tell you, you will never, ever feel good about the way you treat people when that happens. You're
Yeah.
never going to feel good about blowing up at somebody. You will for a little window of time, but you never feel good after the fact. You don't
No.
want to be that person. You know what I mean? You don't want to be that person that is shitty to other people, even when the other people are being shitty.
Yeah.
No matter what, it's one of those things. It never feels as good once the dust has settled and you've kind of gone back into your body and reassessed the situation. And
Yeah.
our ADHD brains have kicked on again, and we're seeing all of the aspects and all of the ways that we've affected somebody. And just the empathy alone can make us sick
Yep.
by being mean to somebody, which is why I think we struggle with anger so much as well.
Yeah.
Part of it is chemical, part of it is emotional, part of it is just the way that we approach people in our lives and what we've learned and past traumas and things. And, I know I say the word trauma and people think that that word is overused, but just because you think it's overused doesn't mean that when you use it, it's incorrect. That's one of those words that people feel embarrassed to use. They feel embarrassed to use it because they think everybody's overusing it or misusing it. Let me tell you what, yes, that word is being used a lot, but it's a lot like people having ADHD diagnosis. It's because we're all becoming more aware of what we grew up around and the surroundings we had and the things we were impacted by, and trying to make sure that those things change for future generations. And I found it interesting too, Jeannine, when you said restless. I think restless is one of those, I don't want to say exclusive, but it's one of those ADHD words that we all find, even though you don't really read about it too much.
Yeah.
You don't read a lot of books for ADHD that talk about the absolute restlessness, but it is a vocabulary word that somehow we all find. I
Yeah.
cannot tell you how many times laying on the couch and, as a kid and looking at my mom and being like, I'm just restless around each other. And just to say, I am restless, like we can say it to each other and know what it means, because restless is like, it's boredom and it's longing. It's a physical boredom. It's a physical feeling that links in with your brain. It's so
Yeah.
strange. It's an emotion, it's a feeling, it's all these things, which I think is part of the reason why it also resonates with us, because it's like we're feeling everything all at once anyway. It's like a weird purgatory. I feel like restlessness is like purgatory for ADHD.
That's a good point. And I have read that too, especially if people are more on the inattentive type of ADHD, though, that they still have hyperactivity, but that shows up as restlessness. It's the thing that's always going on inside you.
I think that when you are restless, if you don't find a way to get out of that zone, it goes one of two directions: through creativity, or it goes into anger. Um, and I think restlessness can flip to anger very, very quickly for the ADHD brain.
It's like a shock to your system. That feeling, it's so uncomfortable. That's stuck in that restlessness feeling. It just feels horrible. And anything you can do to get yourself out of it, you'll do.
Even when I was a kid, I actually had like a visual representation in my head of what restless was like. I grew up in the Miami Valley. And so every year, outside of going to the Air Force Museum, which is awesome, check it out sometime. Outside of that, we went to the Natural History Museum, and it's been totally redone, but we went every year. And I'm deathly afraid of sharks. Don't ask me why. Great white sharks. Totally freaked out. I'm a generation of Jaws being on TV. Um, but there was a great white shark, and we would go, and it was in a very small tank in this blue water, and it went in a circle over and over and over. And when I would feel restless, that was what I would see in my head. And I totally agree with you. It's like that anger can be a shock to the system. You either have to find a hyper focus, or you have to like find something that's going to bump you out. And anger is one of the easiest ones.
Yeah. Very effective, probably not the best way, not the most efficient.
Yeah. We're walking around in this constant state of understimulation. And a lot of times people think it's the opposite, that we are overstimulated, but we're not. Our brain is seeking stimulation because it needs it. If we were to look at it on like a scale of 1 to 10, our brains are sitting at like a 3, where a normal person would be at a 7 because we are understimulated. We are bored. We are restless. We don't have enough to make our brain be lighting up to take care of the needs that we have. Our need for stimulation is not met.
We've talked, it's so uncomfortable, that feeling.
Mm. This crawling, restless, foggy feeling, your brain feels like it's just desperately looking for anything that will bring you up to that level you need to be at. It's like searching for that certain vibration to meet your needs.
Always searching. And then hence enter conflict and drama.
That was a good segue. If we're in the middle of an argument or you're really angry about something, your brain gets this huge flood of activation. All the neurochemicals that you've been missing, suddenly they're there. And for us, that brings us up to a normal vibration. For others, they feel like they're freaking out. For us, we are in the zone and we are just getting started.
Like someone just finally turned those lights on.
Yes, somebody flipped the switch. You've gone from being foggy and restless to being sharp and focused and on point. And it is so good. It is so much better than understimulation. Even though objectively, you're angry and you're fighting with someone you love or maybe someone you don't even know, it still feels really good in the moment. And I'm not saying that that is only neurodiverse people, but if we need an example of what it looks like from the outside, that might be an example.
That's kind of so messed up. But it also makes total sense if you think about how our brains work.
This is why some of us, we find ourselves in these patterns where we're almost using the anger to be able to actually get through the day or for the motivation to start moving forward. An interruption of anger that allows us to take that next step, to push into and push forward from where we were stuck. We
Yeah.
were restless, we were spinning in circles, and now we're moving. And we are moving with precision. It is Matrix esque the way life is going on around us when this happens.
It's kind of like where the doom scrolling thing comes in, looking for something to get upset about. Especially nowadays, you can find a lot to be upset about, but it's you not get anything done all day and suddenly you can find something to be angry about and it kind of wakes you up.
Our justice sensitivity alone and going on the internet can fire you up enough to probably get through one or two phone calls and, maybe a meeting.
You can clean your bathroom finally, do your laundry, and you can rage clean because you're ruminating about all the stuff you're pissed off of. All the injustice in the world. Get stuff done at the end of the day. It really doesn't feel that great.
You can get so furious.
Something triggers you and you get mad about something your mom said like 3 months ago or 3 years ago or 3 decades ago. That goes ahead in your mind, and then suddenly you're able to get a lot of shit done.
And
Yeah.
it's one of those sad but true sort of situations because it works.
Yeah.
And anger gives you that boost, but it's also not really a great long-term strategy.
The problem is you're training your brain to that's what it needs. It needs to get angry for you to be productive.
Yes, that happens for a lot of us who go a long time not being diagnosed,
Mhm.
is that we're angry to begin with, and then it gives us sort of like a low-key addiction. We wanna be able to get up and move. We wanna be able to function. We want to be able to be that go-to person. We wanna be on point.
When you haven't been diagnosed, you have no idea what's going on. It feels like it's just another behavior you have to try to explain to other people, but you can't explain it to yourself. You probably get to a point where you started to notice a pattern. I know my husband, I can remember him telling me one time, "Why does it feel like you're always picking fights?" And I thought, what the hell is he talking about? Which then, of course, made me probably get in a fight because I was like, you always pick fights. Once I was diagnosed and realized that that was a pattern, is starting to see that, oh shit, I think there were times I might have done that. Right. Well, and like, no, my dad, that's where my dad lives with his ADHD. He's just angry all the time. And I know it causes so much trouble in his life and it ruined so many relationships, but that's what he needs. His brain, I think, just seeks it out.
Things were way different back then, but it's like you see that especially as a woman and being an ADHD undiagnosed woman, you don't realize the impact that has on the way you frame anger as well and the guilt that you feel about expressing it and letting it explode.
After you've been, diagnosed, seems like you start reflecting through your life. Like it's a reel playing in your head. You remember stuff from like 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And I can remember feeling like, oh my God, that's why I did what I did. That's why I yelled at people or got angry about silly things. And you go back into another shame spiral. As it is, it's like, what's wrong with me?
And the cycle continues. So many things are cyclical for us. It becomes exhausting until you start to see the patterns of what is going on for you.
I'm in this restless state. I'm spinning my wheels. I'm uncomfortable. I find something to get angry about or pick a fight because it gets me moving. That shock that your system needs to get you out of feeling the way, understanding that why it's happening in the moment. For me, I think that's been really helpful. It hasn't necessarily prevented everything, but I'm finding I'm more aware of it. If you're listening to this and thinking, oh my God, this is me,
You're not broken and you're not a bad person. And neither are we.
and you're definitely not alone. This is so common with ADHD, and especially with women who were diagnosed late because we spent so many years not understanding our own brains. It makes you someone whose brain has been trying to function without the support that it actually needs. The work is learning to find stimulation in ways that doesn't blow up your life or your relationships. If you know someone who needs to hear this, please share it with them.
Until next time, be kind to yourselves.
And remember, you're not the only one angry on the inside.